What is up, world? It's a Monday before Thanksgiving. The old girl that could. So, what am I doing here in this video? Well, you're about to find out. My landlord stopped by yesterday, and he owns a shipping company here in Charleston. Handles import, export type things in and out of the port. Literally, something fell off of the back of a truck and got damaged. Not like pun intended, it's, nobody stole nothing. Something literally fell off of the back of the truck, and I'm gonna head up there and go get it. What is it? You'll find out when we get there. But I got about a 40-minute drive ahead of me right now, so I'm gonna turn this thing off, and so that I'm driving safely and my view is not obstructed. Boy, never really can tell how dirty the windows are in your truck until the sun is behind them. My truck sits in the shade, so you don't usually see it. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in a few. Alright, so I can't tell. This may end up being, I think I'm missing a box, because there's two boxes and it says box 3 of 3. I don't know. This is supposed to be a shed that fell off the back of the truck. You can see in here part of it's broken, but I don't know what I've got until I get it home. Let's see, now on the same box it says 2 of 3. 1 of 3, 2 of 3. Oh look, wow, third box. Kick ass. All 3 boxes are there. I didn't realize that was so. What this is, that's a shed that fell off the back of a truck that I'm gonna take home and build for free. Alright. Turns out it's a 9x7 shed that fell off the back of the truck. And that's a win-win both for me and for my landlord, because I'm going to build this one for him. It's not going to cost me anything. It's going to stay on his land, and I get to use it as long as I live there. So that's a definite win-win. Now I get to drive home and figure out how to get it out of the back of my truck, because it took a pallet or a forklift to get it in there. So free stuff, man. All right, so I've gotten 2 of the 3 boxes out of the back of the truck with the help of my neighbor Eddie. Thank you, sir. He's a retired military man that lives next door. Couldn't ask for a nicer neighbor. But because this thing weighs, I think the box said it weighed 400 and whatever pounds. However, I looked this thing up, this Keter Artisan 9x7 on the internet. I mean, you can see it's fancy dancy. It's got windows that go up top. It's got an angled roof. It's a it was either 972 or 927, whatever it is. This is, with tax, this is a $1,000 shed that I just got for free. And looking at the piece that's broken, it's going to be probably one of those side pieces for the top of the roof, and I can fix that with some 2-stage epoxy very easily. They're clean breaks. There's no plastic missing. But now the problem is that it's going to fit right there. So I have to move that entire wood pile to where my broken lawnmowers are at, so that I can put the shed there, which is going to be a hell of a task. And Kitty's over here wigging out. But I have to move my wood pile first, and then I need to figure out where the directions are at, because they're not in the box number 1. So they're probably in this box. We'll see. Forgive me for being a little bit out of breath here. I just had to move that whole stack of wood. Oh, anyway, you can see where I've marked on the ground. It's 9 feet wide, and it's going to be 7 feet deep. And I'm going to set it back a little ways from the fence. I got to get my gas shears out, though, and run it along the fence line there, because it's kind of hard to tell. There's no real depth when you film with this camera. I got to cut that back, because that stuff's all going to be in the way. But after I do that, I guess I start working on the floor, which is in this box right here. Gives you the option to pour concrete for the floor, and I'm not doing that. put a hammock down there the other day, and I did something wrong with the concrete, and it still hasn't set. 5 days later, I got to dig that back out. Another project for another day, but I'll start working on the floor here in just a second. All right, so it's a 4-piece floor there that I put together. We'll see how the structure of this thing goes together once it finishes going together, because that's a panel, corner piece, panel, panel. So far they're just kind of being held together with some tiny little screws, and they have cotter pins that go together on the top there. I'm hoping that when this comes together, it seems a bit more sturdy than what I'm currently working with, because as I'm walking around on the base of it, I can hear the plastic under my feet breaking. I don't know that I would have spent, well, I know for a fact I wouldn't have spent $1,000 on this, but we'll see what the finished product ends up being. And I think this video will end up being not so much about the actual build of this shed. I will actually show you that, don't get me wrong, but it'll be more about what I do with the shed once I get it together to try to customize it and make it my own. So I just got to keep doing that all the way around. Check back with you in a little bit. Alrighty, so it's got walls, and it's at this point where the directions I ask you whether you want the door to the left or to the right. I'm going to just stick the door over to the left, put the extra panel over to the right side there. So I'm going to add a panel here, and I'll figure out all that nonsense there, but it's starting to come together. Only about half of a day into this, between going to get it and getting to this point. Looks like Kitty likes the new wood pile location. Alright, so I got the windows assembled. Had to cut weather stripping to go around those. 100 screws later. Top front window, I still have another piece. It's in the back of the truck that I got to go get for that piece of window that's right there. So far, I mean, it's going together exactly how the directions tell you to. It's just taking a long time. It's I started at this probably about 4.5 hours ago, and this is all the further I've gotten, and I like to think I'm a relatively handy guy. But that's neither here nor there. That's I'm glad I don't do this for a living. Alright, so I got those windows put up on the side. Those were relatively easy. That there in the back kind of all clicks together, holds it together. It's 3 different pieces. I stood there for 15 minutes staring at the piece of paper trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. It was upside down. So yeah, read the directions. I know a lot of men don't do that. I read the directions. That comes from years of building model cars, though. I read directions. So far, this thing's shaping up to be pretty damn cool. I wouldn't have spent $1,000 on it, but I will gladly take this for free. I'm excited at the way this is coming together. This is almost like a guest bedroom. Not really, but it could be. Hell, I might put a cot out here and even sleep in the yard sometime. Slowly but surely, making progress. These aren't lined up yet, but they're not attached. I'm not worried about that. Just had me slide these little pieces in here. They just slide down underneath and lock into the edge, and then I think literally the roofing just kind of sets on top of it. I'll get up there and see, but it's coming along. I like it. It's a lot of work, man. So it's got a roof. I don't know, I initially was very disappointed with the quality of this when I started taking it apart and putting it together. And I questioned how it would be once it started to come together. And it's plastic, granted, don't get me wrong, but it's coming together very well. Everything fits the first time if you do it right. Like if you follow the directions, it fits the first time. I still have to put some screws in here to attach the roof. But otherwise, it's fully attached up in here. You can't really see it. Lots of screws. Yeah, still got to attach it there. It's got a couple of attachment points there. I mean, this thing, it's coming together. The best part about it is that about 90% of it uses exactly the same screws as the rest of it. There's only a handful of screws that are actually different. So I'm going to keep plugging away at this until the missus gets home. I was supposed to cook beef stew tonight, but she's going to stop and get a pizza because I've literally been at this since 9 o'clock this morning and it's 4:30 now. That includes going to pick it up and come back. But long project. All right, world. Day 2. Had to wait a few hours for the sun to get up in the sky because although it is 65, 70 degrees here in South Carolina during the day, when there's no cloud cover, it cools down to like 39 at night. And wasn't trying to stand out here at 39 degrees, and I'm sure some of you would love 39 degrees right now. What I would love is if those dogs would stop barking. Something that I didn't show you that I made, those of you who've been around on my channel for a while, remember I had the trellis piece that I made in one of the first yarding episodes that blew down. Well, I recycled part of it and some more junk that I found on the side of the road, and I built this planter box that I've yet to put dirt in because I'm not trying to have winter crops. But I made that as well. And there's the Tin Man. Anyway, it's as far as I got yesterday. I got the doors framed in, but they're far from done with attaching hardware. A couple on the sides I still got. Anywhere there's a hole, at some point you're going to end up putting a screw in it. Screw the hole. Ugh. But it's probably a little redundant from what was going on yesterday. But here it all is. 10,000 screws later. And I want to say 6.5 or maybe 7 hours of my time to get to this point. That I'm sure that if I could read Dutch, it would tell me how long this kit is supposed to take to put together. And we're getting close, because I mean, there's no big stuff left. What's left is all the tedious shit. Hardware for the doors, the rest of the nuts and bolts. So I'm hoping to finish this in the next 2 hours, maybe. We'll see. I'll catch up with you when I got the doors attached. Well, there it is. It's done. The interior locking mechanism was kind of interesting, the way that went together. I mean, it makes perfect sense once it goes together, but looking at the illustrations was lacking a bit. But and you may be wondering, it was damaged in shipping. There's the damage there. You can see where I super glued that back together. At a later point, I might actually put some filler in there and shoot a little bit of flat black paint over it just because. And then you can see back here, it was damaged, but I put that on the back side of the shed. It doesn't go through to the inside. There's another little punched hole right there. But I mean, that's, well, and then right there was a little bit more that I literally fixed with some super glue. So I mean, I got a $1,000 shed for free. And I started out not particularly liking it, but I have to say that if you're in the market for a shed, this is it. It takes a long time, but it goes together very well. And even when you mess up and you got to take some screws out and put them back in, it still holds together securely. So now I get to figure out what I'm going to do with it. I'm actually going to mount that sign right there. I have to find some short screws for that. But so what do I do with it from here? Well, I can tell you I'm going to take my toolbox out of my living room and put it in there, but I need to buy a lock first. But that's a wrap. That's a free shed. So perhaps I'll do some updates along the way as to what it is I'm doing with it and all that. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will put a product description in the bio down below so that you can Google it and look it up if you're part of the Facebook group. That information was posted up there yesterday. Anyway, that's it for now. I need some lunch.